Hi, this is the Bible Ranger, and today we're going to be talking about Jesus in a circle, disciples, episode 45, part 5, Judas Iscariot. We forgot to leave him out because he's such a big part of the 12 disciples. Before I start, I want to encourage you to please subscribe, okay? Thank you very much. All right, the 12th disciple, Judas Iscariot. Now, he was part of the third group, and there were groups of 4, okay? That was the least intimate. He was isolated. He was alone, always listed last in the Gospels. And the name now was associated with betrayal. And it's so bad to the point where people don't even name their dogs that name. Or even build a house where he died 2,000 years later. Now, Judas is actually, Jehovah or Yahweh leads. Or one worthy of praise, which is a really nice name, but he kind of messed it up. Now, the root word, it means the land of the Lord, I believe. I left it out. I've been at this for over 12 hours, so forgive me. Now, Iscariot, the first part is or ish, it means man. And Cariot means a town of Cariot. So they said they didn't have last names. That was one way also to identify people. And there was also another Judas also, at least one other one, that was the disciple. So he was identified from his town because he's the only one, the only non-Galilean. It was in the southern section, about 23 miles away. All right, and they thought themselves, the Iscariots, thought themselves to be superior to the northern Jews. All right, so in Psalms 41:9, Jesus always knew that Judas would betray him. He still picked him. Jesus even called him a friend. Now imagine he knows none of us are good. He knows our rotten hearts. And Jesus still takes us into his family. It's incredible. In Psalms 55:21, it says that he was good with office politics, but he was a hypocrite. Also, the verse kind of says that he was smooth with his tongue. Now, was Judas condemned by choice or edict? Both. Because God foreknew, but it was his choices. And we'll also talk about that along the way. Now, the disciples never suspected him. They even made him treasurer. He held the money purse. Apparently, he was good at money too, because when this lady here, the lady with the alabaster box, when she broke it and she anointed Jesus says for his burial, and she's wiping his feet with it, and she's using her hair. He was upset. He knew how much the ointment was going to cost, and he put a price on it. We could have gave some to the poor. How selfish of this woman. And Jesus kind of rebuked him. It's like, look, you always have the poor. Just she's taking care of me for my burial. All right, something positive about Judas. Now, last video, I talked about that Jesus had at least 70 disciples when they were going door to door and they were passing the gospel out. But the last sermon that these 70 or more, because we don't know exactly how many were there, but Jesus gave the famous sermon about the wine being his blood and drink my blood, and the bread being my body and eat my body. They said, look, we had enough of this. This sounds too crazy. We're leaving. And they all left except the 12, and Judas stuck it out. He was one of the 12. Give him credit for that. However, it may have been for selfish reasons because he saw Jesus as the possible Messiah. He was there when he did all the miracles, and he raised Lazarus from the dead. So Jesus knew that he would be betrayed, but he chose him anyway. In that verse, which I said earlier, that verse was in John 17:12. Now, Psalms 41:9 and 55:12, Jesus called him friend, trusted him, and he was hurt by Judas's betrayal. And you would think, why would Jesus, if he knew, why would he be hurt? Well, it's the same way as Jesus knew that he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead, and the people were crying, and he's moved by their feelings, by their hurt. Jesus was also human. Don't forget that. Not 50% human and 50% God, 100% God and 100% human. I know some of this is repeat, but this is just showing that I've been working on this too long today. All right, so in verse 21, it says that he was skilled with good political speech, but he was a hypocrite at heart. Now, sorry for the repeat there, but I'm not redoing this. And it was both. that it was a choice, but God knew already the choice at hand. All right, next one. John 13:29. Nobody suspected the betrayal because Judas held the purse. So finally, when he went out to actually, betray Jesus, they're thinking, well, this is the Passover. He probably went to get something for the feast, or he went to give some money to the poor. And matter of fact, until after it was all over, which is in John 12:6, then they marked Judas, all the other disciples marked Judas as a thief and as a betrayer. And this is an interesting point to ponder. The same sun, and I'm spelling sun, S-O-N, the same sun that melted the wax hardened the clay. Now here in the picture here, you see the word S-U-N for sun, star, right? Now, while the other disciples' hearts melted with Jesus' ministry, Judas' heart was hardened. Judas probably saw Jesus as a Messiah, right? Who overthrows the Roman government. Maybe he's thinking that Jesus needed a little push. If I force Jesus' hand, maybe he'll actually stand up and be the Messiah. All right, so John 13, Jesus honors Judas in a meal by sitting so close to him. Remember, there was a story that Jesus talked about where if you come into basically a party high-minded and you sit in a very close, important seat, that it's embarrassing because they say, "Sir, that seat is not for you. You need to be escorted to the back of the room." Now, Jesus would have people come into the back of the room and be honored by being sat close to the front. Well, in this case, that happened to Judas. We know that John, the beloved, was right next to him and Peter was right next to John, but really close on the opposite side must have been Judas. Because this is where he dips in the same bowl that Jesus dips. So he had to be right next to him. All right, even though Judas stole from the purse, Jesus still washed his feet. Isn't that incredible? I mean, if you think about that, I mean that'll bring a grip to your heart. That's just incredible. God treats us like that too. Even though we betray God in things that we do, He still loves us. All right, Jesus also said these words after he washed all the disciples' feet. He's giving clues to Judas. He doesn't want him to get betrayed. So Jesus says, now you're clean, but one is not. One will betray me. So he's telling these 12 that one of yous are going to betray me. So, they're having this Last Supper and they're having this thing in their mind. So Jesus is giving Judas one last chance not to go to hell. Now, Peter, while they're eating, he leans over to John and he's asking John, ask Jesus who the betrayer is. But John may have not told anybody else but Peter, because when he did leave, nobody suspected him. And that was the side that I said before this one, that he left and he had the purse, and he may have been gone to give money to the poor or buy some more for the feast. And Jesus told Judas on the way out, whatever you're going to do it quickly. And then Satan enters Judas. It's like Satan saying, you know what? I want to do this myself. I want to betray God myself. It's like that, Also, it probably enforces Judas not to back down. All right, so the possibility that Judas is forcing Jesus' hand, he might still be thinking that on his way out. Well, I'm doing this for Jesus. I'm doing this for everybody's sake. I'm not that bad. I know I'm betraying, but it's really for the good of everybody. So Jesus' betrayal basically wasn't secret because nobody knew it, right? Now John didn't know, and Peter knew, but they didn't know what exactly was going to happen. So it was for 30 pieces of silver. And look at these coins right here. If you notice, those are most likely the actual coins, not the coins of Judas, but these are the silver pieces that he actually had in his hands. So at today's prices, which is silver's been growing in number, somewhere like $27, $28 an ounce, it's about $800, which is still cheap. The high priest gave Judas the money, and that money, watch this, it was the money that you gave to the owner of a slave for compensation if you happen to kill their slave or you happen to maim him. I mean, that is cheap. That's what Jesus got, the price of a slave. The kiss the kiss would be the sign of betrayal. It would identify Jesus in the dark. Don't forget, Jesus wanted to pray. It was really late at night, and the guards, nobody knows Jesus, especially in the dark. So Judas was saying, look, I'll identify him by kissing him. But watch this. This is incredible. Jesus, knowing this, removed the necessity of the kiss of Judas by meeting the guards. Jesus, before Judas can even approach Jesus, Jesus came up to the guards and he's asking the guards, "Who do you seek?" Think about that. Judas didn't even have to. He didn't even have to kiss Jesus anymore. But guess what? He did it anyway. And if you think about it, that's just more mercy that Jesus is really putting on Judas. That's incredible. All right. So once Once Jesus was condemned to death, and Judas, he felt horrible. He threw the silver back at the priest. He wanted to give it to the priest, and the priest was like, no, 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 that's blood money. We don't want to touch that. We don't want to be responsible for that money. So he just went ahead and threw the money at their feet. And they're like, well, we're going to pick it up. They picked up the money, and they knew that they couldn't use that money for the church anymore or the temple. Because it's blood money. So that's when they went ahead and bought that land, the potter's field, which I'm going ahead of myself. But Judas felt his feelings were of regret, not repentance. This is really important. It was not too late for forgiveness. It was not too late for forgiveness until he hung himself. So the branch broke right here. This branch breaks when he hung. I don't even know if he was dead yet, but the branch breaks and he makes a mess down below because he was over a cliff on the rocks below. The priest bought a field, and it's called the potter's field, with this blood money that we're talking about. And all these little instances right here, that same day, there was like 31 fulfillments of the Old Testament. That's like impossible. Even the timing of this whole crucifixion and everything, maybe one day I can go into that. The timing was miraculous. There's so many miracles that happen at this 2 days. It's incredible. So Judas's tragic picture shows you that it's a waste of privilege and opportunity that he had. He was with Jesus and he missed all that. So Jesus demonstrates his power, right? Jesus demonstrated patience and love to Judas until his death. There was always a way for Judas even to ask for forgiveness. Because you remember, at the cross, that thief, he was dying. At first, both of the thieves were against Jesus. And then, at the end, one of them actually starts repenting and says, remember me, please, when we die, basically. And Jesus said, you'll be with me in paradise. So, the suicide that Judas did sealed his fate, which is not good. He's going to hell. And he could have still repented while he was still alive. And the Bible does call him the son of perdition also, kind of a term of the Antichrist. So we know he went to hell. So as a bonus, Judas wanted to see Jesus in his reigning glory, but he did see Jesus demonstrate his power. And the demonstration was when the guards were looking for Jesus. Remember, he interrupted and Jesus said, who are you looking for? And he said, we're looking for Jesus of Nazareth. And Jesus said, I am. Somewhere between 300 and 500 guards fell back just from the words of his mouth. And Judas had to see that. He says, man, this is incredible. This is the reigning Messiah right here. Just by words, he knocked everybody down like dominoes. So Judas still could have been repented right there. Anyway, so he had the power to become king on earth, but it was not his time yet. And that's coming. So, yes, it's true that it's never too late until you die. But who knows when that's going to happen? Right? We have in Luke 12:20, this is the verse where it warns you that the day that you die might happen unexpectedly. And this is from the famous Jack Chick tracks, This Was Your Life, probably the most famous track they have. And the man before this page showed him how he's doing so well and he's got so much money built up. And he feels like he has his whole life before, he can dedicate himself to the Lord. And bam, that night, he comes the Grim Reaper after him and got him. So he dies without the Lord. So don't let that happen to you. Repent and follow him. Now that would be a good idea because we don't know when it's going to happen. So if you found this video to be helpful, please subscribe, thumbs up, and share it, okay? And only like a couple of videos away, we're going into end times, and that's going to be really intense, and it's going to be very enjoyable for those who like to study the Bible. Thank you very much. This is the Bible Ranger, keeping the Bible simple yet rich in content. Thank you.